As a memory of Jared Orchen, today we're going to learn the Haftorah of Parshat Hachodesh. Page 1502. Before we go there, we'll give a little introduction. Parshat Hachodesh is read the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Hachodesh means the reading, it's a special reading, as we spoke about it last week. It's a special edition reading that speaks about the mitzvah of the Passover lamb. We read it before Pesach as a way to prepare ourselves, if not physically, at least spiritually, to the Passover, to Pesach, to the holiday. In the biblical times, we offer the Passover lamb. We cannot offer a Passover lamb, then we are reading about it. When you love something, you speak about it. If the Torah reading is about Pesach, then the Haftorah has to be about Pesach. Then the Haftorah is on the book of Ezekiel, chapter 45 and 46. Now, what do you know about the book of Ezekiel?
40 to 48 are all about the third temple.
40 to 48 is all about the third temple. Very good. Amazing. It's true. But there's a few problems. Talmud says that one point, when the rabbis put together and decided what biblical books will make it to the Bible, they didn't want to include Ezekiel. Why? You ever heard about it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why?
He wasn't in Jerusalem? I wasn't in Israel?
No.
There was a conflict between the second temple and the third temple here.
Because there is things he writes in these chapters about serving in the temple, not like it's written in the Torah. There's a conflict between this and the Torah. They said, what's going on? You cannot put it in the Bible. One rabbi, I forgot his name, Hananiah ben Chesky, I think, said, I will prove that everything is not a contradiction, nothing is a contradiction to the text, to the Torah. And he was sitting in a Aliyat Agag. Aliyat Agag is in a attic, so to speak, in the upstairs. Balcony, whatever you want to call it. And they bought them 300 bottles of oil, so to speak, should have light, and he explained everything. But we don't have his commentary. It's gone, it's lost. That we are still dealing, it made it to the Bible, but we are dealing with things that are contradicting to the Bible, clearly. Many, not one. Now there is something that's called teiku. You know what teiku means?
Elijah will tell us when he comes.
Oh. Teiku is a word in Hebrew today. No, I'm okay. I think I'm okay. We'll see. Teiku is when there is two, today modern Hebrew, when two teams are playing and they're equal, they're tight, what it's called, tight in English. They have the same number of tie. In Hebrew it's called teiku. You cannot decide who is right, who won the game. There are many arguments in the Talmud, questions, that we don't know what to do. This way or this way, this way or this way. The answer is teiku. The Talmudic discussion ends with the word teiku. Teiku means we don't know. Now, came rabbis and said that the word teiku is an acronym for four words. Tishbi, Yetaretz, Kushiyot, V'abayot. Tishbi, who is Tishbi?
Elijah.
Eliyahu or Tishbi? What's Tishbi?
Tishbi,
from the place of Tishbi. Yeah. We sing Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi, from Tishbi. That Elijah from Tishbi will come and give us the answers. When is Elijah going to come?
At the end of the day.
The Mashiach is coming. Basically, there are things that we don't have an answer, and only when Elijah will come, among all the questions that we have to him, why came so late, for example, why are you waiting for so long, will be the first question we're asking him. And a few more questions. I have for him a few more questions.
He'll say, why did it take you so long?
then he will also answer all the problems. He will solve all the issues. This is one of the answers that we give. The Talmud is discussing. For example, in this chapter, there are quite a few contradictions to the Bible. One clear contradiction, there is many. One very clear contradiction is, here it's written that you have to offer a sacrifice every day, every morning in the temple. What's written in the Bible?
You're supposed to do,
Three times.
yeah, I do, actually. Sacrifice.
Yeah, but what's written in the Bible?
Oh, wow.
Twice a day.
Yeah. Oh,
Here it's written only every morning, once a day. Clear contradiction. The numbers of sacrifices on Pesach, 7 bulls, 7 days, it's not written in the Bible. And so on and on and on. The whole of Torah is a contradiction to what's written in the 5 books of Moses.
It's a commentary, it sounds like.
But it's not.
What?
Sounds like it's a commentary.
It's a commentary. That's a text.
It's telling you things that you
Then,
True.
then some opinions say that this is speaking only for the inauguration of the third temple. Speaking about the inauguration will be different laws, so to speak. The inauguration of the first temple, or the temple in the desert, was also different laws for the inauguration itself, different sacrifices. They were never used later, in none of the inauguration. In the inauguration of the first temple were also many, many sacrifices. The inauguration of this temple will also be different rules. He's not talking about the rules for every day, he's talking about the rules will be for the inauguration. That's one opinion.
And prophets are allowed to make an exception one time.
The other opinion says, what you say, that the prophet can give us new rules also. Novi osid lechadesh. It's a whole discussion. If a prophet can tell us something extra. But the most accepted opinion is, when Moshiach will come, when Elijah will come, he will tell us what does this mean. Then we don't get scared and then walked up and said, oh, yo, fine, we don't understand that, we don't do it. Nobody ever followed the rules. When Moshiach will come, Ezekiel will show up too, he will be resurrected from the dead, and Elijah will be there. We'll ask Ezekiel, no, Rabbi Ezekiel. You have anything can you explain us what you meant with that? He will explain us. Not because nobody dies from a question. That's what you need to understand. Not because contradiction. First of all, you should know whenever you find a contradiction, I can put money on it, you're not the first one to find it. It was already addressed in the Jewish writing. Every contradiction you want was already found. And if the rabbis live with it, you will live with it too. Nothing will happen. That's okay.
Why do you think the rabbis ultimately did bring Ezekiel into the biblical canon?
Well, he says a lot of good things. He was a prophet. He was a true prophet. That's why. He was the only prophet in exile. He spoke about the third temple. He gave the Jews hope that it's going to be another temple. At that time, they thought it's the second temple. What we know now, it's the third temple. He spoke it before the second temple. Ezekiel was a prophet right after the destruction of the first temple.
Why do you think they didn't try and make the second temple more like Ezekiel's temple here?
They didn't understand.
Because they couldn't understand. They didn't know exactly how to do it. Mm-hmm. They were more easier for them to follow the first temple and to do some, but they incorporated some things like the third, like Ezekiel, what Ezekiel wrote, a little bit. Mm-hmm. What Ezekiel writes an old description of the third temple. Ezekiel was in love with the temple. What does this mean? You know, if you are people have a hobby, they like to collect everything about, let's say, NASA, about spaceships. You go into the house, into the room, there is pictures from Earth till tomorrow, books about books. They know every detail about the spaceship, every school, everything. They'll go to lectures and to, right? Because you love something, and you want to know every detail. Other people like sports, they know everything about the sports, all about the players and the this, and then busy with garbage. A whole day, right? An expression of love of something, I know everything about the Rebbe because I love it. Not because I have to. I love it. Because I love it. I know every detail, every story, everything. And if I don't know a story, every day I'm ready to read another story. And another detail, and another this. And my kids are the same thing. And they can tell you, there is boys in Chabad who can tell you everything about the Rebbe's life. They can speak for hours and hours and hours about every detail in his life. They put me to shame. They know everything. Everything, every story, every little detail. And there is thousands and thousands of pages and stories. Unend, without end. Ezekiel writes about the details of the temple because he loved the temple and he wanted the Jewish people to love the temple. And when you love something, you read about it and you want to know more information. And you never get enough. You want to hear more and more and more and more. Jewish people learn the Torah. You see, somebody learns to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. He goes to school, he learns and finishes. What he learns more, if he needs to learn a certain procedure, he learns more. If he needs more education. But most of the people, when they finish to learn, they're educated, not necessarily intelligent. You understand what I'm saying? They learn, they're done. They never open another book for the next 50 years. They learn only what they must to know and finish. Some individuals like to learn everything. But if you love it, the Torah is not something I learned, I'm done. I became a rabbi, I learned I passed the test, shine, good Shabbos, I'm closing the books, I'll never open it again. A Jew learns Torah every day of his life because he loves it. It's a love affair with God. That he wants to know more. Tell me more. Tell me more. I want to know more about it. I'm so excited about Judaism that every day I want to learn more about it. That's what Ezekiel is doing with the temple.
But he's sharing it. It's a
He
sharing.
loves it.
I love it to share.
If you love it, you share it with others. If you're excited about a certain exercise, you drive everybody crazy about it. A certain diet, and you suffer, you make sure everybody will suffer, not only you. And it's true about everything that you are in love with. If you love politics, people are big supporters of Trump, will drive everybody crazy about Trump. People are big supporters of against Trump. That's what it's all about. When people ask, why so much reading about the temple, the Truma, Tetzav, Vayakipud? It's a love affair. When it's about love, then the question is not relevant. Why you need to know so much? I want to know more. It's not enough. Give me more. No matter how much you give him, he wants to know more. The big fans of the stars, they stay behind them. They know every detail about their life. They take another picture, another selfie, another. It's never enough. Now, this Haftorah introduced to us a concept that's called a Nasi. What's a Nasi?
Prince or a leader?
Prince or a leader. Where we see the first time Nasi in the Torah?
So with the giving for the tabernacle, isn't it?
The tabernacles, not the giving. Yeah, but Nasi Meview. Is this the first time the word Nasi is written? I cannot swear, but probably. The Nasis, what was a Nasi? The leader of every tribe was called a Nasi. It's written about King David, with Avdi David, Nasi Aleim Lo Elam. He will be a leader over them, right? Where is this written? It's one of the Haftorahs. Which Haftorah is it? It's the end of Haftorah. I don't remember which Haftorah, but one of the end of the Haftorahs is, my servant David will be the king over them forever. I think it's Haftorah. So I remember that somehow. I didn't have a chance to look of it, to look where it is. In any case, what's the difference between a Nasi, a leader, and a Melech, a king?
Wow.
All kings aren't leaders.
King has to be from Judah.
It's more comprehensive.
And a Nasi?
Well, by tradition, they were later on.
Yeah.
All from Judah.
You see, later they were called Nesim, not kings, right? King David is called king, but King David is also called a Nasi, a leader.
But
the
a
difference
priest
in-
can be a Nasi here, right?
Will you see a priest being a Nasi?
I thought in Ezekiel it does talk about a priest being a Nasi.
That's a big argument. If when he speaks about a Nasi, he speaks about a priest or he speaks about a king. The most accepted opinion that's about a king, not about a priest. But it's interesting that you say it.
Melech is more comprehensive. It's much more.
What's the difference in a king and a president? Nasi in English, it's a president. What's a president means? Can you explain the word? What president
Depends how
means?
much party you're in today.
I don't care which president. What president means?
It's a president of a
It's
company.
a titular leader.
state.
A leader.
But
He's a leader, but
he's
he's
a leader
got
by title.
divided powers, though.
Right. But he's not a leader because of his, necessarily because of his personality. He's a leader because he's got the title, he's got the position.
That's a king. A president, you say, is a leader, but doesn't have all the powers. That's what you say?
Yeah, I think all
Melech
presidential
is-
systems, they're divided powers.
That's what it is. And that in Judaism is the same thing. King the Melech. What was Moses? A king or a Nasi?
No, he's a leader.
He was a king, or he was more than a king.
Who's Moses?
A king takes his power from his position, from his authority. A Nasi takes his power from how people respect him. He's a leader. A king is not necessarily a leader, you're right. The word Nasi has an acronym, Nitzotzo Shel Yaakov Avinu, a spark of Jacob. He's a spark of Jacob. What does this mean? A Nasi is more of a leader, more of Moses' authority was not because he was a king. Oh, a king can. When Samuel described what a king can do, what is he describing? What the king is going to do to you? I think it's a Haftorah of Parshat Korach.
He's going to take your children, send them to war. He's going to take your money in taxes.
Exactly. He said he will take from you everything. Which Haftorah is that? It's, I think it's Haftorah. Here is Haftorah about the king, but it's not
Deuteronomy
about...
chapter 17.
No, it's not in, I mean what Samuel says.
Okay.
You're right, Samuel says it clear. The king can take your kids and your daughters and your sons and your fields, and he can confiscate, he can do whatever he wants. The Nasi by Ezekiel does not have this kind of power. The government, the people will give him a place to live, the people will give, well, this is it. He's more leading by his authority, but what he represents, because he's a representative of God, because he's a holy man, because he's a scholar. Moses' authority was not because he was a king. He was speaking to God, that's why he had his authority. We don't call him Moshe a Melech, Moses the king. We call him Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses the Rebbe, our teacher. It comes from the teaching of the Torah, that's his authority. And Nasi is going to be somebody that his authority is coming from spirituality, is a spiritual authority, not from power that is grabbing. You understand? And that's the difference in a king and a Nasi. And that's what is in the Haftorah, he's speaking about that. He says how the Nasi is going to come to the temple and now he's going to offer sacrifices. It's almost, then even in the Bible we have for every tribe a Nasi, but we didn't call the king a Nasi. Here later, the king becomes a leader, not just a king, is becoming a leader. He's not out of his own power, it's more out of his...
But that would be King David, because King David was picked by Hashem.
You're right. But King David was an interesting combination.
Yeah.
He was more a king than
Because there's a whole
a
process with
spiritual
Samuel.
authority.
But because, Samuel picks him, and he still
Samuel
has to run
picks
for
him.
his life,
So-
and...
So Samuel picked King Saul too.
So in today's world, we could look at examples on the other side, the Ayatollahs. Those are spiritual authorities, and yet they're given the ranks of king almost, even though they're not. But those people follow the Ayatollahs because they have the spiritual
I would say I wouldn't
conviction.
even go so far. I would say the President of the United States. He was elected by the people, but he's not a king.
But he doesn't have spiritual authority.
He's not spiritual, I understand, but the idea that he's not he doesn't have his power because he's the king and he can do whatever he wants. He has the power, he's drawing the power from the people because he was elected, not because he has a big army. You understand what I'm saying? He's not a spiritual authority. A spiritual authority today would be a rabbinic authority, a leader. The Rebbe was authority not because he didn't have any power. He didn't have a police, he didn't have an army, but people wanted to hear what he has to say. And he had more power than many leaders, many kings have. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, the Pope is a spiritual leader.
You're right, it's a
of
good
the
example.
Catholic Church.
You're right. And he's kind of a king too type of thing.
But he doesn't have military type authority.
Yeah.
He has the following.
He does have his own army.
He does have.
Yeah, he's got
He does.
He's got his own city.
he's got a pantaloon guard. I mean, in colors.
Because
and they're very tough,
because
but-
maybe it's
But it's a
different.
combination.
Yeah, it's a combination.
No, but he's really much more
But
spiritual.
a Nasi here is also a combination. The Nasi that he's talking in Ezekiel is also a combination of these two things. It's a little bit of a leader, a little bit of a king, and a little bit of a leader.
That's why many English translations call him a prince, interestingly.
What's a prince? I don't even know what a
It's usually
prince
the
means.
child of the king.
It's the child of a
Yeah,
king.
Rabbi Yehuda the Nasi. Why is he called a prince? I don't get it.
Because he's a young king. He's
No,
a
Rabbi
young king.
Yehuda Nasi was not a young king.
Oh.
Judah the prince, right?
Yeah.
You know? Why is he called prince?
He was the prince.
Well, the prince is less than the king.
Yeah.
So maybe it puts it midway between.
Yes, kind of a
That's the
secondary
idea.
step down.
You step
A
down.
step down.
Remember, the children of the king is the princes and.
I understand. Because they're only children, that's why
You're
they
in
consider
line,
prince.
you're in line.
No, but in this
Here
case,
we're talking the leader, we're calling the leader a prince. That's my question.
yeah, but I think it's just because you don't have the full authority of a king to be able to do all the law.
Oh, that's why. Then exactly, that's what Ezekiel looks on a leadership that will not be a powerful, aggressive leadership because the Jews had so much bad experience with the kings. They were not looking for another king. Moshiach is not going to be, it's written, it will be a Rav and a Melech, a rabbi and a king, like Moses. Not going, give me your horse and give me your desert. No, I don't need it. Samuel. It's like more like the prophets and like the kings.
Yeah.
Look, the kings, you know the names of the kings? You don't. The name of the prophets, everybody knows. Ezekiel, Jeremiah, who knows? Ahab, the king, who knows the kings? Who cares? They were powerful kings.
There were titles.
They didn't leave anything meaningful. Then we want, in Ezekiel is seeing a leadership that leads by, because they deserve to be the leaders. Because everybody wants them to be their leaders. Because everybody is there to hear what they have to say. And that's a Nasi. Now, we go to learn a little bit from inside.
So like Gandhi would have been what you're
I must
talking
tell
about.
you, I know very little about Gandhi, but
People followed him by the millions. I mean, he was-
spiritual leader.
He was a spiritual
People
leader.
don't have actual power but have authority.
That's
the
correct.
difference.
exactly like Mandela type of thing.
Yes.
Influence.
Influence, yeah. Even that not all of them were such good people, but
No.
for an example, they're good. We will start on 1502. We'll start with the Chabad communities begin here. This is what God said. You see it in the bottom of page 1502, last paragraph.
This is what God Almighty says. In the first month, on the first day of the month, you shall take a young bull without blemish for a sin offering. And with it, you shall cleanse the sanctuary, thus inaugurating it.
You see, in parentheses it says inaugurating it. Because the rabbis learned that this whole discussion is about the inauguration of the temple. Important point to mention, I mentioned that on Shabbos, then the inauguration of the first sanctuary in the desert, how long it was?
7 days.
A year?
2 weeks.
7 days, right? The inauguration of the first temple in Jerusalem by King Solomon,
8 days. Right?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Look at the progression here.
The inauguration of the second temple, I still have to find it exactly where it's written, was 21 days, 3 weeks. And the inauguration of the temple that Ezekiel is talking about 28 days. It could be longer and longer and longer. And I was thinking that that's why, because the inauguration of the second temple was 21 days, the mourning that we mourn every year for the destruction of the temple is the 3 weeks, 21 days. You realize that? Not only this, there is 21 days that we say Hallel, I think. And there is 21 days that we mourn the temple. You're getting a cold and you're getting rid of it, and comes another one and another one.
Just don't get what I had.
Huh?
Just don't get what I had over the weekend.
It's a never-ending business. When I was young, I didn't have these problems.
It's going around, so.
You know what happens?
Don't feel lucky.
When you're younger, the germs can't catch you. But now you're getting so fast, you're catching them.
Okay. I think they're catching me. I'm sorry. In any case, what I mean to say is the 21 days that we mourn for the temple is because we dedicated the temple for 21 days. It's always the opposite, you understand? So many days and it's interesting, there is some people who say you have to mourn only for 1 week. The week of Tisha B'Av. There is some opinions say. Some opinions say you have to mourn from Rosh Chodesh until Tisha B'Av, 9 days. Not everybody agrees on the 3 weeks, but that became the most accepted opinion, and that's what everybody is doing. But it's amazing that 21 days, I heard before many years ago that 21 days is that from Rosh Hashanah until Hoshana Rabbah is 21 days. Basically, the holidays are 21 days. Then we see in the Torah there is many things, 21 good in the bad side. Well, but here I never thought that because the inauguration of the second temple, then here he's talking about the inauguration of the temple, and he said that on the first of the month of Nisan, you'll inaugurate the temple. Even though that I think it's written that the inauguration of the third temple will be on Cheshvan. Why on Cheshvan? Because when was the inauguration of the first temple in the desert, the sanctuary?
It was on Nisan,
Nisan.
but it was completed by Heshvan.
When it was completed?
Heshvan.
Kislev. It was completed by Kislev, by Hanukkah.
Oh, that's
But
right.
God wanted to wait with the temple for the inauguration until the month of Nisan. The Jews were ahead of schedule. What should they do? The plan was for Nisan. That they was waiting. It was all folded, ready to go until Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and then they put it together. Fine. Then God said, I will pay the month of Kislev for not having the inauguration in the month. That's why Hanukkah happens to be in the month of Kislev. The temple of Solomon was ready on Cheshvan. The inauguration took place, could take place on Cheshvan. And Solomon chose to wait another 11 months until the next high holidays to do the inauguration. He wanted all the Jews to be there. Then it's written in the Medrash that God says that the third temple will be inaugurated in Cheshvan to pay off for the temple that was not inaugurated. But here he's talking about the first of the month of...
Cheshvan is what?
It's a month after the high holidays. Cheshvan is right after Tisha. It's a month after the high holidays. Here he talks about the first of Nisan. He says you should take a sacrifice. Okay. And go ahead. Number 19.
The priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering and put it upon the doorpost of the sanctuary.
The doorpost of the sanctuary. Ever heard such a law in the Torah?
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
Well, it's not a law, but that's when you put it on the doorpost when we were in Egypt.
In Egypt, but not in the sanctuary.
No, I understand, but
In the temple, we never put on the doorpost. That's things that it's not written in the Torah. You see?
It's sprinkled it on the altar.
Go ahead, continue.
And upon the four corners of the ledge of the altar.
That's written.
That we do.
That we do, yeah.
And upon the doorpost of the gate of the men's courtyard.
That we don't do.
So you shall do every day until the seventh day of the month to inaugurate the temple. These sacrifices will atone for the house from those who err and the fools who enter the temple without permission.
The fools who enter the temple, it's written petty. Petty is a fool. Petty is somebody who doesn't get it. Maybe a fool. Then people who enter by mistake the temple. That's what he's talking about.
So is this talking about people in the past then? You know, this is making up for the sins?
No.
But those up till now.
No, when the temple will be.
So they thought they walked into McDonald's, instead they walked into the temple.
No, they walked into the temple, they know until how far they are allowed to go. They went too much. You understand, there was a certain spot that you're allowed, if you're a regular Jew, you're allowed to go until here. If you're a Kohen, you're allowed to go until here. Then people, by mistake, went a little too far.
But that wasn't the problem at Mount Sinai, where they had divisions like that.
Mount Sinai, God said, if you go too close, you'll die.
Yeah,
And he sent Moses again, twice. Once was not enough.
this is a model of that.
Yeah, the same idea,
But
yeah.
is there an implication here that someone who enters the temple without permission, who's a fool, is a fool to think that they're going to survive this?
This is people who didn't die. They didn't die.
They're not dying.
No, you die only if you go to the Holy of Holies. If you enter the temple a little too much, you didn't die. No, absolutely not.
Well, this Ezekiel's talking about, you said, the third temple. I
You're
think.
right.
So some of these things are contradictory, you said, to the
Yeah.
other temples.
Yes.
But it's the third temple, so you gotta give them a little leeway. You don't know what's going on in the third temple.
I think that's what he said.
That's why most people concluded it must be the third temple.
Yeah,
But you're pointing out the differences.
yeah, exactly. That's why we have to say it's about the third temple.
But there had to be the one guy who said he could reconcile everything for it to go into the Bible, basically. That was the,
That is the
hook.
accomplishment, yeah. Okay, let's continue.
So where's
Mark.
the 21
What?
days? So where's the 21 days? He said,
It's not written here
It's-
21
it's seven.
days.
Right.
Wait, Hachodesh.
okay.
Give it time.
In the first month of the 14th day of the month,
Now you have already 14 days.
No, he's describing a Pesach sacrifice.
Yeah, but it started on the first of the month.
No,
They sacrifice for 7 days.
but now you're jumping a week without,
They say that's a continuation. It's not not just a.
okay.
Go
you
ahead.
shall bring the Pesach sacrifice during the festival of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. On that day, the 14th of Nisan, the leader shall bring a bull for a sin offering from his own property for all the people of the land.
You ever heard about that the leader should bring a sin offering on the first day, on Erev Pesach, on the 14th of Nisan? When he did it, to atone. Who did it and when they did it?
The high priest would have to,
When?
Yom Kippur.
On Yom Kippur. Not on Pesach. That's why some people say, some opinions say that the Nasi, the leader, is a high priest, because of this. The high priest used to bring an offering to atone for the Jewish people, for himself, for the Jewish people on Yom Kippur. וכיפר בעדו בעד ביתו, the same words. Here he's talking about a sin offering in Pesach. That yesterday I saw some commentator, some Chochem showed up from nowhere and says, you know what, the original Yom Kippur was supposed to be on Pesach. Okay. Very interesting. How you know? How he knows, I don't know. But he probably had a conversation with God.
Well, is the concept of creation, whether creation occurred then, or it was more of it's supposedly a
If it was
thought,
Nisan or Tishrei, yeah,
you could play with that.
You can come up with this combination. But that this is another thing that's strange, because suddenly on Pesach we're asking from the leader to bring an offering to atone for the sins of the Jewish people. Okay, I think number 23. Go ahead.
He shall prepare a burnt offering to God from his own property for 7 days of the festival, 7 bulls and 7 rams without blemish daily for 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering.
Again, this is not something that it's written in the
But
Torah.
it's also very strange, almost un-Torah-like, because up to this time, it's always been a community. It was a community sin offering. It was the high priest did it, but it wasn't his own personal property on behalf. You had to contribute to the community to do it. Everything in Judaism is predicated on more of a community.
Yeah, but if the leader is so dedicated to the community that when he brings it for everybody. If he himself belongs to the community.
Yeah, but I just think it sort of feels a little bit, it's not so bittul.
No, just the opposite. They didn't want any corruption. They said you will bring it from your own.
And are they talking about, he's saying here, it's sort of confusing to me. He says, shall prepare a burnt offering to God for 7 days of the festival, 7 bulls and 7 rams without blemish daily.
Daily.
So that's 49 of each.
Yes.
That's a lot of bull. I mean, that's a lot of animals from his own stuff. So he's got to be.
Didn't happen yet.
You ever seen the rib burn off?
How much meat you ate already in your life? I think that's amount.
I ate that much last week, but I mean.
I don't think so. But
No.
What I need to say is, I understand. That's what I'm saying. That's one of the things that was written in the book of Leviticus. How many sacrifices to bring?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He shall prepare a meal offering of an elah for a bull and a
Ephah
for a ram and a hin of oil for an ephah.
Okay, continue.
One question,
Yeah.
for Sukkot, how many total? Is it 49?
70.
70.
70, oh, you're
But
right.
it goes down.
Yeah, it goes down.
Again, we are getting to it right now. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
In the 7th month, on the 15th day of the month, you shall do the same in the festival.
Hey, let's stop right there. He missed something?
7th month. What happened to the other 6 months?
7th month, the 15th of the month. Which holiday is it?
Sukkot.
Sukkot.
Is there any other holiday before that?
Yom Kippur.
Rosh Hashanah? Shavuos? Gar nicht. What happened to the holidays? He speaks about Pesach. Shavuos, you can say it's written Shavuot, but Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is not even mentioned. Shmini Atzeret is not mentioned. That's why the people had such a hard time with this. But when we have a hard time, we don't die.
Well, wait a minute. So if he's foretelling the future, are we still going through Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur?
Oh, there is a whole discussion which holidays will be when Moshiach will come.
But that's what I'm asking.
Which holidays?
Some say Purim will still be around. Some say Hanukkah will still
But
be
these are
around. Some say
festivals.
Sukkot.
Hanukkah
These are the
and Purim.
festivals, they're not
Hanukkah
the-
and Purim will be. What does this mean? That on Yom Kippur will go to the golf course? What does this mean?
It means you've atoned and you're clear, and all you have are the festivals.
Then we'll not have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, it's over, finished. What are you going to do?
Doesn't make sense. I don't understand.
That doesn't make sense, right?
Well, it's also said that when we won't be talking about Egypt, we'll talk about our exile.
Yeah, this is true that we will not say anymore. I think it's Ezekiel or maybe one of the other prophets. We will not say anymore God who took us out from Egypt, but God who took us out from this exile. It's written in text. Where is it written? I don't remember, but you should remember.
Yeah, I should, but I don't.
But you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I know what you're talking about.
Is that Ezekiel?
It might.
לא יאמר עוד אנכי השם שהוצאתיך מארץ מצרים. This language I can look on the cell phone, but it's not a book.
These were all miracles that God did for the Jewish people without us realizing it at first.
Oh. That the miracle of the Exodus, we saw it. You realized it right away.
Right. And the clouds of glory.
But more
everything
importantly,
that
these
we
are
could-
rabbinical holidays that
Miracles that were coming later, Purim and Hanukkah, will survive because this is from us. Miracles that God made. What does this mean? We are not going to the golf course. It means to say we'll be on such a high level that this will not bring excitement anymore.
What's atonement?
I'll give you an example. When people were in the camp, a day that they brought soup, it was a big day. Then he came out from the camp. He eats everyday soup. Soup doesn't excite him anymore. Understand? There's a story about a guy who was in jail in Russia, and was some lady used to bring them once a month a cake. He loved the cake. It was the best thing they ever had. He came home, he tells his mother, all your cakes are good, but this cake that this lady used to make, nothing like this. She sends a letter, please give me the recipe, my son is missing your cake. Right? Okay, the recipe took months, makes the cake. He couldn't put it in his mouth. It was like stones.
It's all relative.
In jail, it was the best thing ever happened to him. When we are in exile, Rosh Hashanah, we get so inspired, oh, Baruch Hashem, Yom Kippur. We will be on such a high level, then the light that we get on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur will be meaningless, so to speak. Every day will be on a higher level than Yom Kippur. We'll live in a different awareness, on a different sphere. We will have such an awareness about godliness, about our meaning of life, then that will be like not important. It doesn't mean that will be a regular day. It's like you have a candle, the candle brings light here, then somebody walks in, turns on the light. The candle is still there, but it doesn't mean much. The light of the candle didn't disappear, but it's gone.
What about the offerings? Is only the Thanksgiving offering in the...
There's about offerings, there's all discussion about offerings, which offering is going to be. But what I mean to say is that's why, because we don't know how things will be exactly when Moshiach will come, but one thing we know for sure, it's going to be a different life, a much more meaningful life. That means that all the holidays will not be, it's not they will not be observed practically, but they will not mean so much as they mean now.
I don't understand, because you're talking about Mashiach, you're not talking about the era of the resurrection.
That goes together. The resurrection will not come without a Mashiach.
Because some of these things you're saying will be after the resurrection.
Will be after the resurrection. Before the resurrection will be relatively more like now. After the resurrection will be a different lifestyle. You go around, you meet people you didn't want to meet. Oh my God.
I'm back.
Yeah. If you like it or not, I'm back.
Round two.
Okay, we'll continue. Where are we? We started. I stopped you in the middle of number 25. Start number 25 again, please.
Okay.
In the 7th month.
In the 7th month of the 15th day of the month, ye shall do the same in the festival for 7 days, like the above-mentioned sin offerings, like the burnt offering, like the meal offering, and like the oil.
So these sin offerings are ongoing. I mean, is it just the first year, or does it continue year after year?
That's what I'm saying. If you're talking about only the inauguration, it's only one time. That's how they explain it. That's only one time thing you finish.
We're up to 3 weeks now.
You're right. That's done, and you move on. You don't do it again. Now start chapter 46. This is what God.
This is what God, Almighty God, says. The gate of the men's courtyard that faces the east shall be closed for the 6 working days, since people do not come during the week. But on Shabbos it shall be opened, and on the first day of the month it shall be opened.
Then we see here that when people used to go to the temple, when they will go to the temple on Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh, like today. And we have to inspire a little bit the Rosh Chodesh business. Not only on Shabbat, should come only on Rosh Chodesh. Go ahead.
The leaders shall
By the way, in the biblical time, Rosh Chodesh was a much bigger deal than today. It was a much bigger holiday. People didn't work. It's written in the Bible in other places. I think in the book of Jeremiah, it speaks about people. It speaks about the bad people who are waiting for Shabbos to be over. They can rip off their customers. And he says, when Shabbos will be over, when Rosh Chodesh will be over, we can rip off our customers. That from this you can see that Rosh Chodesh was like Shabbat, that people didn't work on Rosh Chodesh. It was a very holy day, Rosh Chodesh. Once a month, it was like a day of stopping working and parties. You read it from King Saul with the whole meal that he had with David, and David didn't show up to the meal.
And what happened to it?
What happened to it? I think the moment the temple was not there to offer sacrifices, that it dwindled down.
Also because you systematized the calendar. All of a sudden you don't need the witnesses, so there's no excitement in terms of the whole bit of it. It was a sort of a mystery. Which day is it going to be?
I think that they took upon themselves not to work on Rosh Chodesh. It wasn't a biblical law. It's not in the Bible. They took it about themselves. You know that about Purim. Purim is coming up. Mordechai wanted to make it a holiday that you don't work, but the Jews didn't accept it. Rabbis can only make something that the Jews want to do. If the majority, the power is not in the hand of the rabbis. Ultimately, the power is the hand of the majority. A new law that the rabbis institute, if the Jews accepted it, it's a law. If not, it's not. The rabbis made a law that you shouldn't be able to learn Torah without going to the mikveh.
Didn't go over so well.
But guess what? Nobody came
Didn't go over.
to shul. They stopped it.
Corey was
That was before they warmed up.
Before the war mikvahs of Tzon Chabad.
interesting.
Then the women have to go on some month. They went, they're much more accepting it's a biblical law. That's what the rabbis done. The men said, no, I'm not going to shul and finish it. Then it's ultimately in the hand of the people. Okay.
I realized if they had a hot tub there for a mikvah.
Oh, that would be a whole different story.
The leaders shall enter by way of the outer porch of that gate from outside, and he shall stand by the post of the gate. While he stands there, the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall bow down at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go out, but the gate shall not be closed until the evening,
And
because
he comes, go ahead.
the people of the land shall bow down at the door of this gate before
Then
God.
the king came, and they opened the door, and he was standing by the door. He couldn't go anymore inside because it's the place of the Kohanes. And he bowed down, and he's going out.
And the people shall...
He says king, it's the Nasi, it's not the king, it's the leader. He doesn't
So is
use
the leader
word
here the
king.
Mashiach?
The leader,
No.
yeah, probably. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the
I
people,
mean,
the people of the land shall bow down at the door of this gate before God on Shabbos and the first day of the month.
Okay,
The burnt offering that the leader shall offer to God on the Shabbos day for the inauguration shall be 6 lambs without blemish and a ram without blemish. The meal offering shall be an ephah of a ram. The meal offering for the lamb shall be whatever he is capable of bringing, and a hin of oil to an ephah.
it's all details, how much flour you should bring in, how much oil you should bring in, how much this you should bring. Okay, continue.
Are they making breads, the flour and the oil, are they making breads with
I'm
this?
not breaking bread because in the temple, it was not allowed to be bread. Chometz.
So what are you
only
doing?
matzah.
What are you doing with this flour?
Matzahs,
You're just
matzahs.
kneading it
Like
together.
matzah, yeah. But it wasn't chometz. There was no chometz in the temple, only
Only on Shavuot.
on Shavuot, and
I thought it was only Shavuot.
only Shavuot, and Shavuot they brought bread to the temple. The temple was Pesach Dekaholian, basically. Only on Shavuot they brought 2 breads, and also when somebody brought a thanks offering, you should bring bread with it.
When someone brought what?
A Thanksgiving
Oh,
offering.
Thanksgiving.
Not a turkey, but bread. Why? Why not chometz? What chometz represents?
Ego.
Ego. You come to the temple, you leave the ego alone. If you come to the temple for forgiveness, you don't. With ego, you're better off not making the trip, not doing the pilgrimage. But on Shavuos, after 7 weeks of purifying ourselves, we are on such a level that the ego will not be a contradiction. The same thing, a person can bring chometz and Thanksgiving offering. What's a Thanksgiving? From where comes being thankful? From where it's coming? From a sense of humbleness. From a sense of not feeling deserving. For a sense of feeling that I got more than I deserve. More than I expected. From there comes a sense of Thanksgiving. Then if it's coming from there, it has to be,
what is the
you
ones
can bring
for,
the chometz, nothing will hurt
What are
you.
the ones for like if you're traveling overseas, and is that you're supposed to bring it on?
A goffering? If you travel overseas, people make Thanksgiving goffering.
Maybe.
Maybe, ich weiß nicht, maybe. Continue.
On the first day of the month it shall be a young bull without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram. They shall be without blemish. He shall prepare a meal offering on the ephah for a bull, and for an ephah for a ram, and for the lambs according to his means, and a hin of oil to an ephah.
Okay, continue.
When the leader shall enter to watch the sacrifices being offered, He shall go in by way of the outer porch of the gate, and he shall go out by the same way. When the people of the land shall come before God on the festivals to offer their obligatory sacrifices, he who enters in by the way of the north gate to bow down shall go out by the way of the south gate. And he who enters by the way of the south gate shall go out by the way of the north gate. He shall not return by the way of the gate by which he came in, but he shall go out straight ahead.
Why shouldn't he go the same way back?
Traffic control.
That's true.
But it's sort of like in life, you don't go backwards. You're always moving forward, like haha. Maybe, I don't know.
Where else you not going in the same way you came back? You came.
Life.
Through the
Life.
through the
Garden of
temple.
Eden?
No, not through the temple.
That's a temple, that's what we're talking about. Where else you don't go?
The Holy of Holies.
Well, when they went through the splitting of the Red Sea, it sort of circles.
Talk about us, forget about the splitting of the sea.
You know, you're superstitious.
Oh,
When you don't go from the same door you came in,
In a
or
house,
from the same place, from the same entrance.
my mother's like that.
Where your mother takes it, you think she made it
She
out?
won't go to the same door. Oh, no, she'll leave by the same door. Come through the same
Yeah.
door.
Why she's doing it? Why she lives by the same door? Why? Why? Where it's coming from? There is a tradition that when you go to a cemetery, you don't come from the same, you don't go out from the same entrance. If you realize they have two gates in every cemetery almost.
Never knew that.
I didn't know that. Not all of there's how many entrances?
There is only one entrance in Mount. I'm
Okay.
showing what you, but it's also a circle type of
You
thing.
can go a different way.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, you only go there, but you can't.
yeah. You don't come from the same, see, you don't go from the same
Different
way.
way.
From a funeral, you don't come back from the same way you go. I used to go out to funerals that we went on the road and then he came on the sidewalk. Didn't come back. That's why your mother goes from the same door to say it's not a tragedy. It's not like a. From there it's coming. Verstehst? You don't go. Why you don't go in a cemetery or a place like this? You don't go from the same door. Why we don't go here? It means you're not going back. It means to say you should go out from the place different than you came in. That's what it means. When a person goes into a cemetery, he should go out, he should have a deeper understanding of life than he walked in. Maybe I'm sure there is also a Kabbalistic explanation. I'm sure there is into it more. I didn't have a chance to look into it. But it's coming from here. It's coming
So it's not a
only
physical-
traffic control.
It's not a physical thing, you're saying that it's supposed to
Sure.
change you.
Exactly.
spiritually.
You're not going out on the same door you come in. You're a different person. You're going into the temple, you're going out from another door, you're a different man. That's what it is. That's why we have two doors here. I'm joking. Don't go out from this door. I'm sorry.
You do what you have to do.
You will stay there with a credit card machine and people walk out from the other doors. Okay. Then, and then in number 10 he says, the leader, when he comes in the people, when he comes in himself, he goes out on the same door he comes in. When he comes in the people, go ahead.
leader among them shall join them. When they go in, he shall go in with them. And when they go out, he shall go out with them.
Exactly. He should join them. It's an amazing thing when the leader comes together with the people, he joins the people. You don't give him any special. The people have more power than the leader. That's what he says really. He has to respect the people. Go ahead.
On the festivals, the meal offering shall be an eleph for a bull, and the ephah for a ram, and the lambs, whatever he is capable of bringing, and a hint of oil to an ephah. During the 6 working days, when the leader shall prepare a voluntary burnt offering or peace offering to God, the gate facing east shall be open for him, and the priest shall bring his burnt offerings and his peace offerings he does on the Shabbat days. Then he shall go out, and after he goes out, the gate shall be closed, since people are working and cannot come to the temple.
Okay. Now continue number 13. There is again something that we mentioned it before. Go ahead.
In addition to the above inaugural sacrifices, you shall prepare a burnt offering to God of a 1-year lamb without blemish. You shall prepare it every morning.
Every morning. Don't write about evening. Only in the morning. It's one of the most important things that happen in the temple. A sacrifice in the morning, a sacrifice in the evening. Here he speaks only about the morning. Continue.
You shall prepare a meal offering for it every morning, the 6th part of an ephah, and the 3rd part of a hin of oil, to moisten the fine flour, a meal offering continually by an everlasting ordinance to God.
Okay, you want to continue? Number 15.
In addition to the above, they shall continue to prepare the usual lamb, meal offering, and oil required by the Torah every morning for a continual burnt offering.
Again, speaking about the morning. Let's continue this paragraph because it's connected to it.
This is what God Almighty says. If during his lifetime the leader gives one of his sons a gift, since it is his rightful property, it will belong to his sons, and it will be their possession by inheritance. If he gives one of his servants a gift from his property, it shall be the servant's possession only until the Jubilee. It then returns to the leader's possession and remains an inheritance for his descendants. The leader may not take land from the people's portion and defraud them of their property, and to give his sons an inheritance only from his own property, in order that my people not be scattered, each man from his property.
This Haftorah teaches us two things. Ezekiel was writing things that are not corresponding with the laws of the Torah, that we don't know what's going to be. We're waiting for Mashiach to come and tell us. And we teach us about the Nasi, the concept of a leader that is not a king, but a spiritual authority.